Okay. Okay, take it away, Caitlin.
Perfect. Well, hi, I'm so happy to be here. My name is Caitlin Forbes. I'm an Assistant Director of Admission here at Willamette University. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about our school today. So getting to know Willamette, we were founded in 1842. We are a four-year private liberal arts college and we're supported by a couple of different professional schools, including the College of Law, the Atkinson Graduate School of Business Management, the Claremont School of Theology, and our newest addition, the Pacific Northwest College of Art. We just merged with them this summer, which is very exciting. So we're always looking for ways to expand at the graduate and undergraduate level. We're also one of the 44 colleges that change lives. Just for some context, this originally was a book that was written to highlight institutions across the country that were producing really wonderful outcomes for their students. And now it's a running list that's updated pretty regularly. But Willamette is included on this list. And so we're really excited to be included in this really small group of schools that have been recognized for being a wonderful environment for their students. In terms of numbers, we are definitely a smaller campus. We have about 1,800 undergraduate students and about 600 grad students. We have a plethora of academic programs to choose from, 54 in total. We just added business, public health, and data science majors this year. We also do have an individualized major, which is a design your own major. So if there is something on that list that doesn't quite meet what you are looking to fulfill during your time at college, we can actually design your own major here. So you definitely have the opportunity to be flexible in your education. There are a couple of things that make Willamette unique compared to our peers in the Pacific Northwest. The first is the Xena property. This is a 305-acre property at the edge of Salem. It is so beautiful and gorgeous and is a great example of experiential learning opportunities. So for example, our biology and environmental science students will come to the Xena property to do studies and experiments and research. We also have a sustainable farming club and they go to this property to farm produce sustainably, of course. Then they share that produce with the rest of campus. And it's also just a beautiful space to take hikes around as well. We also do have a longstanding partnership with the Tokyo International University. Their sister campus, the Tokyo International University of America, is located at Willamette, just across the street. We do welcome about 100 or so American Studies program students every year to Willamette for their American abroad experience. And then vice versa, we'll send students over to the Tokyo campus if they're interested in studying abroad at that location. Speaking of study abroad, we do have over 66 programs and partnerships to choose from. It's really popular to go abroad at Willamette. Of students do study abroad. So if you're interested in going abroad, we offer semester, year-long, and summer abroad programs and partnerships. Additionally, we do offer research-based study abroad programs as well. So if you would like to do a little bit of both, going abroad and doing research, we can make that happen too. And then last but not least, our proximity to the capital is unmatched. So Willamette is located in Salem, Oregon, which capital, but the don't find a closer university state capitol building proximity in the country. And then there are a ton of opportunities for students to be involved over at the state capitol. As you can see on the PowerPoint, 80% of the interns over there are Willamette students, including political science students, but also biology students, communication students, English students. Any student who's interested in working or having an internship at the Capitol can have that opportunity. I'm going to give you a brief virtual look of our campus just to visualize it. So speaking about our proximity to the Capitol, you can see that proximity really well in this picture. So Willamette is the red building in the front of the picture, and then the state Capitol building is right behind it with that golden statue on top of it. You can really see that proximity from this view. Additionally, changing color and it's just quite beautiful. And then to the left of the pictures is the star trees, those big redwood sequoias that you see. Those are they were planted for our 100th birthday, and they're called the star trees because if you're standing at the base of them and you look upwards, it actually does create the shape of a star. And so those are also very, very beautiful and remind me of Northern California, specifically of Muir Woods. Here's a great example of, or I guess depiction of where Willamette is located, just in the downtown area. So as you can see, the university is right there in the middle of the map with the state capitol on one side and Salem Health on the other. Salem Health Hospital is one of the largest hospitals in the region, and is also a wonderful resource for internship opportunities and experiential learning opportunities as well. A bit further past the hospital, there are a ton of parks and recreation spaces in Salem, and there's a lot to do downtown as well. The university itself sits at the very edge of the downtown, so we have a bunch of restaurants and coffee shops to explore. A lot of very small local businesses. There's a movie theater, an escape room, a bowling alley. There's a lot to do just locally in Salem. Students are never bored on campus. It's not like a ghost town or anything on the weekends. And students also really appreciate just the proximity of Salem to other things in the state. So we're only an hour away from Portland, the coast, and the mountains. So if you are interested in going hiking, skiing, rafting, you want to head up to Portland or go explore the coast, you can easily do that within a half day, a full day, or if you want to make it a longer trip, you could do that too. So there's just a lot to explore in Oregon, and Salem allows students to really have the opportunity to explore all different types of things. In terms of academics, I mentioned we're a liberal arts institution, which means you will encounter coursework that's interdisciplinary, experiential, and student-centered. So unpacking that a bit further, no matter what you major in, you're going to understand how different areas of academic thought intersect with each other. That's the interdisciplinary aspect. It's experiential, so you're going to have opportunities to apply what you've learned in the classroom in those real-world settings, so internship opportunities, research opportunities, et cetera. And student-centered. We are a smaller campus. We have an 11-to-1 student to faculty ratio and an average class size of 17 or 18. So you're really going to get to know your peers, your professors, your advisor, and whatever you need to be successful as a student at Willamette. You have so many resources there for you. It's a very individualized experience. And so if you need anything regarding academic support, personal support, we have a very supportive community and campus environment. We also do want to equip students with a common set of tools in their toolkit. So the way I like to describe it is, of course, whatever you major in, you're going to get those major specific tools. But we also want to make sure every single student has these common tools in their toolkit. So through the general education program, students will be able to be strong critical thinkers. They'll be able to communicate efficiently, and they'll be adaptable to the changing world around them. So all these tools are highly transferable. So no matter what you do after you graduate, whether you go to grad school, you switch it up and go into a profession that's completely different than what you majored in, you'll be able to find success in whatever you do. And just in terms of a breakdown, about a third of your credits are general education, a third will be dedicated to your major program, and a third are electives. So you could do another major, you could do a minor, you could do 2 minors. I know a brave student who's triple majoring. Again, back to that kind of student-centered part, you really can do what you'd like with your education. It's truly your experience. We also have amazing faculty. I do like to brag about them just a bit. We have 11 Oregon Professors of the Year at Willamette, which is the highest number of Oregon Professors of the Year at a single institution in the state. So they are always leading in their fields. They're continuously publishing, and they're being recognized in academic articles and journals. But first and foremost, they are here at Willamette as educators. They are here for you. You'll never have a class that's taught by a TA. They're all taught by professors, and they provide students with a lot of support, starting with Colloquium. Colloquium is the first class you'll ever take at Willamette. It begins during orientation week and spans throughout the fall. Your advisor or your professor for Colloquium will be your academic advisor until you declare your major. We typically don't ask you to declare until your sophomore year, so this faculty member will really be there as a support right from the get-go. And through the Colloquium class, you'll just learn about different academic resources, how to acclimate to the academic rigor, and just settle into that collegiate environment. We also do have academic hearth areas in each building on campus. These hearths are kind of learning libraries in academic buildings, which is really, really great. So if you don't want to study in the library or your room or a coffee shop, you can actually study in an academic building. They're also in really close proximity to professors' offices as well. So you just have to go down the hall if you have any questions for your professors. And they tend to have a door open policy. And so if you have any questions about a group work assignment or a specific project that you're working on, you can easily ask them for help. Our professors hold extensive office hours, and between classes, before classes, after classes, they tend to keep their doors open. So the hearth area allows you to have that unique combination of an area to do individual work or group work, but also is in really close proximity to those professors. And I've touched on this a little bit, but of course, experiential learning is really unique to Willamette just because of that student faculty ratio. So because our professors are doing ongoing projects, research, conducting experiments, and participating in studies, they'll actually invite students to be a part of those programs or whatever they're working on. And so if they get published, you get published too. That's really unique to folks at the undergraduate level. Typically at graduate levels, you'll be able to participate in this research, but we offer that to students at the undergraduate level. And like I mentioned, if they get recognized for their work, you could be listed as a co-author or author within these academic journals and papers. So that is fantastic. Speaking of grad school, we also have dual degree opportunities. We offer this as a way to streamline your education and get your bachelor's degree in about 3 years, and then you can continue on to complete your graduate degree. We offer this in law, business, engineering, forestry, and data science. So again, if you're interested in any of these graduate dual degree programs, I'd be happy to talk about them a little bit more, but they all involve completing your Bachelor of Arts or Science degree in 3 years and then going to continue on to get that grad degree. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we are offering new majors in business, public health, and data science. So that's a lot about what students do in the classroom, but in terms of life outside the classroom, Willamette students are heavily engaged in the community around them. On average, they're involved in about 2 to 3 things outside the classroom, and we have so many things to participate in on campus. We have over 100 clubs and organizations that range from campus rec to multicultural groups to student government. We also have 20 music ensembles and performing arts clubs. You don't have to be a music or theater major or minor to participate in performing arts at Willamette. It's open for everybody. But I would say that the average Willamette student is somebody who, of course, wants to dedicate a lot of time to their academics, but really wants to explore other things and other parts of who they are. We don't want anybody in the library until 2 a.m. We want to provide you with a unique education, but we also want to make sure that you're fully well-rounded as a person. And that includes being able to participate in these extracurriculars. We also have 20 different varsity sports to choose from. We just added women's triathlon this fall. We're a Division III school when it comes to athletics. And so if you are interested in being a full-time student athlete at Willamette, that's the cohort that you would compete against. That'd be the Division III group. We also offer a plethora of intramural sports to choose from if you don't want to be a full-time student athlete, but still want to be involved in a sport. Fraternity and sorority life is available on campus. As of right now, I would say about 10% of students are involved in Greek life. If you'd like to center your experience around that organization, you certainly could. On the flip side, if you don't want to be involved at all in Greek life, that's also completely doable. Of course, internship opportunities are plenty here, whether it's part of your required major program requirements or whether that is something that you discover through our an internship before they graduate. And of course, we've been around since 1842, so we have a ton of traditions to choose from. I love to highlight the $1 bistro cookies. The bistros are on-campus coffee shop. It was founded by students in the 80s and is completely student-run and student-managed to this day. I'd encourage you to come visit us on campus. You'll be able to go to the bistro yourself, and they just have really good food, really good coffee, and also non-coffee beverages available. It's actually in their bylaws that certain products like drip coffee and certain cookies have to remain $1. So it's really popular for students and staff and faculty to get a quick snack or some coffee at the bistro. So definitely come and visit us and check it out in person. It's fantastic. Fun fact about Willamette, we've broken the Guinness World Record for the largest game of red light, green light, not once, but twice. So first in 2013 and then again in 2015. I love this fun fact because number one, that's just an amazing thing to accomplish, but also it kind of goes to show whether you are proposing a thesis topic or you want to pursue a specific research grant or you want to win a world record 2 times, you'll have a community that says, yes, let's make that happen. How can we pursue that? Or just kind of encouraging you to follow that goal and to meet that goal. You'll never hear, oh no, that's too big of an idea. We have so many amazing leaders on campus who have created different spaces on campus that have been long-lasting policies, proposals. And so if you're somebody who is a leader and wants to initiate these kind of really fun, exciting projects, you'll find a community that's welcoming of those, ideas, which is really exciting. For living on campus, we have a 2-year live-on requirement. So all first year and sophomore students are required to live on campus. Juniors and seniors do have the option to live off campus if they'd like to. It's about a 50-50 split of students who live on campus all 4 years versus folks that go off campus just because we are really close to a residential community. It's pretty common for students to want to live in a house or an apartment with friends just off of campus. But you are guaranteed housing all 4 years at Willamette. We also have 2 dining halls. We have Gowdy Commons and Kaneko. Both offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options for every meal. The food is also really good at Willamette. We get people from the Capitol who come to campus for lunch. And so I think that's a good testament to how good the food is. And you can certainly bring a car to campus any year, whether you're a first year or a senior student. And the application process. So we are a Common App school. You can apply early decision, early action. Both of those applications will be due November 15th. Both are wonderful ways to know your admission status a bit earlier. Just be aware that there is a difference between the two. So early decision is binding and early action is non-binding. So if you apply to any school under early decision, you're making a very formal commitment to attend the institution if admitted. I only would recommend applying early decision if you know in your heart this is your #1 school, you know for sure that you want to go here. And if you are admitted, there's no other school you'd want to attend because it is a binding agreement. Early action, on the other hand, is non-binding. So it's a good way to know your admission status a bit earlier, but you can still have your options open, wait to hear back from other schools. And you'll just have, one school, give you that information early, which is nice. So definitely, just keep those 2 in mind. We also have regular decision due January 15th. So if you want more time to work on your application, that's a perfectly fine way to apply. You'll just know your admission status a bit later in the spring. There are no application fees to apply to Willamette. We don't require any supplemental essays. We're also test optional. And when I say test optional, I truly do mean test optional. So we've actually had this policy pre-COVID. We understand that the SAT or the ACT, they don't always highlight your academic potential as a student. So if you don't want to submit those scores, it will not impact you negatively in any way during the evaluation process, nor during financial aid allocation processes. So yeah, truly test optional. If you'd like to submit your scores, I like to equate it as the difference between like an A and an A+. I'll definitely give a thumbs up when I'm reading it, a virtual thumbs up, I guess. And yeah, it's always just a great way to demonstrate academic excellence if you feel like those scores really highlight that, but it'll never be the make or break between being admitted or being denied. We do, however, require, of course, your transcripts, a counselor, and a teacher recommendation in your school report. Most of these things come from the school directly to us, but it's always a good idea to be in contact with your counselor to make sure all of those materials are being sent over. And there's some optional things you can also submit. I already mentioned those test scores, but any additional letters of recommendation, a resume if you've had extensive work experience, and an interview with your admission counselor. That is always strongly recommended. It allows us to get to know you a little bit better, and it adds more personality to the application. The application itself isn't super personal, and so I think an interview is a really nice way for us to get to know you a little bit better. Speaking of reviewing applications, we use a holistic approach to admission. So we look at every single part of the application. We don't just look at your GPA, but we look at your activities. We look at what you're involved in outside of the classroom and how long you've been involved in these activities. Just keep in mind there are a lot of ways to be involved. So whether that would be the more traditional clubs and activities and organizations, to sports, to any community events you're involved in, community service, or family events like watching over siblings or taking care of grandparents. That all, I think, falls under that big umbrella of activity. So we just want to know who you are outside the classroom. We have the essay. There are a lot of great topics to choose. The essay is the most personal part of the application. So I really recommend making sure your voice comes through the essay. We'll pay attention to the quality of writing, so making sure grammar, punctuation, and spelling are all looking good, because we want to make sure you're at that collegiate level. But like I mentioned, the essay is the most personal part of the application. So I would recommend making sure that we get to really see who you are through this. For the transcripts, we look at the rigor in context. So we look at what your school provided regarding honors, AP, or IB courses. Then we look to see if you challenged yourself academically. If you did, how did the challenge go? We also take note of any trends that we see up or down on the transcript. So whether you had a hard kind of beginning to high school and then there's an upward trend, or vice versa, there's a downward trend, we do take note of that. I will pause for a second to mention that there is a section on the Common Application dedicated to COVID related disruptions. So if COVID impacted you academically, please write down that information in the COVID related disruption section, because it allows me to have that context. I'm always looking for reasons to admit you. And so if I have more context as to why your grades might have declined, and if it was because of COVID, that's information I would encourage you to share with me. In those letters of recommendation, finally, I just like to see how you contributed to the community around you, and then how in turn you might contribute to the Willamette community. For financial aid, we have a lot of different options, starting with merit awards. We're still in the process of filing our merit scholarships this year, but they're projected to start at $20,000 and range up to $34,000, which is fantastic. These are renewable scholarships, so they're renewable all 4 years as long as you're in good academic standing. And there's no application process for the merit awards. That's just something that's factored during the admission evaluation process. If you are looking for additional scholarship, we also do have competitive scholarships in the programs listed. So debate, music, theater, visual arts, public health, environmental science, and STEM. These are fantastic ways to get additional scholarship for a subject you're really passionate about. And I say passionate because typically with the competitive scholarships, we ask you to at least major in this area. We don't usually ask students to declare until their sophomore year. Competitive scholarships might be the exception, where you don't have to declare from your first year, but it's assumed that you eventually will declare at least a minor in this field. So for example, in environmental science, if you have that scholarship, that's fantastic. The assumption is just you will eventually go on to declare at least a minor in environmental science. Music and theater are the two exceptions to this. You don't have to major or minor. If you hold those competitive scholarships, you'll just have to participate in ensembles and performances. And then of course, these scholarships stack on top of merit. So you don't have to pick between merit or competitive scholarships. You can have both. And we also accept the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. This is a need-based application, and there are paper versions of the FAFSA available. It just opened up, so I would really encourage you to take a look at the FAFSA. It's a great way to get additional scholarship. Fun fact about Willamette is we introduced a tuition transparency policy. So this semester, we reset our tuition about 20% from $53,300 to $43,500. And we did this through a lens of transparency and access. We know that for private liberal arts schools, it's really great to see these huge merit scholarships, but then they're usually accompanied by really big tuition prices. And that can be really scary, and it can actually deter students from thinking they can access a school like Willamette. And we don't want that. We want to be upfront about what it actually costs. So we took the inflation out. So the merit ratio to tuition is very similar, but it's more transparent as to what a liberal arts education truly costs. Rather than having, really inflated scholarship with really inflated tuition, we want students to know what the flat rate is. So we are again leading our peers in this policy, and we're hoping that it'll create a trend of tuition transparency, so more students feel like they can access a private liberal arts education. So in terms of outcomes, about 99% of students do receive financial aid at Willamette. 38% of folks graduate debt-free. $42 million in scholarships are awarded annually, and the average mid-career salary of a Willamette grad is about $111,000. I do want to open up to questions. There's my contact information. I would be working with you during the application process. So there's my email, my phone number. Please feel free to reach out with any questions that you have, but I just wanted to check in to see if you had any questions.
Great. A question for Forbes? Okay. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Did you hear that, Caitlin?
No, I didn't.
It's great hearing your presentation, student says.
Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
At the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned that you were merging with Pacific Northwest. Is that right?
Yes, and so this merger, they are now a Willamette institution, and it's with the Pacific Northwest College of Art. And one thing that I do want to kind of emphasize is lately there have been some mergers between two institutions, and the reason for the merger is one institution might not be as financially healthy as the other. It was made very clear to both campuses that this merger was more of a proactive step to increase opportunity for the undergraduate campuses, but both institutions independently are financially healthy. So I do want to emphasize that it wasn't a merger that was made to kind of maybe save an institution. It was just simply because the Pacific Northwest College of Art, their students have expressed a lot of interest in more of a well-rounded education, and Willamette's undergraduate campus can provide maybe STEM courses that those students might not be able to take. And then vice versa, our studio art majors, for example, would be able to benefit by taking maybe more intensive or focused art classes at that campus. They're only an hour away, so that's also really something we're exploring. We have the whole academic year to kind of plan out what that might look like, whether it's some sort of like domestic study abroad program. Additionally, they do have graduate programs. And so we are anticipating creating some sort of dual degree, possibly for MFAs. And so, yeah, we're exploring what that partnership looks like. And we're really excited about that merger. And it was just finalized.
All right. I think that was my only question. Maddie, do you have any questions? Oh, that's the bell. You made it right on time, Caitlin.
Yes, so perfect. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So we have this presentation recorded and we'll post it on our website. Just want to thank you again, Caitlin, for coming in. It was awesome having you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Always happy to visit my old stomping ground.
It's nice having you back. All right. I'm going to end the recording.
Sounds good. Bye, everybody.
Okay.